You're on.
Well, hello, welcome back. Oh my goodness, a lot of cool stuff happened over this Valentine's holiday. Um, couple of things before we get going. Let's do the administrative stuff. Anybody who's tuning in regularly, really, we're reaching out. We need some feedback as we prepare to include call-ins and listener involvement. We're trying to gather all the information that we can get. For those of you that have reached out, sent emails, notes, messenger, stuff like that, thank you. Thank you, Strong Island, for giving us this platform. And let me tell you that over this Valentine weekend, I had completely forgot about my homework. And but I was able to accomplish what I intended to do without even thinking about it. And then I was telling Lori, and she said, "Oh my gosh, Leroy, you finished your homework. Now I got to get on mine." So with that, let's hear what Lori did. Hi, Lori.
Hi. Actually, I was setting out to try to find something amazing to do, and then you pointed out that I already had exercised a little extra Valentine love, and it was just how I said, and the way that I do things, quite simply, it was just in joining a friend for a small thing that she wanted to accomplish. Just
I
being
forgot you
there.
shared that with me, and I completely forgot, but that was really nice. I bet it meant the world to her. And helping people, especially because we did it without setting out to do it. It just kind of happened, organically unfolded. I think that was really rewarding. So, Lori, today I had this idea that we would talk about the Heart's series of seasons. And when I talk about a series of seasons, specifically, I wanted to talk to you about the temporary reality of challenge,
Right.
because a lot of times, things come in and we give them just unnecessary strength, power, and enthusiasm simply by acknowledging them and giving them far more credit than they ever had. And the way that I see it, um, I wanted to talk to you and just kind of share the reality that there's a lifespan to every challenge, and there's a sunset. And a lot of times we make them much bigger simply because we get hyper focused.
Oh boy.
Um, we
Indeed.
dwell.
Hmm.
We we just instead of we fail to recognize the temporary reality of challenge.
Right. I absolutely agree. And I think when we don't recognize it exactly for what it is, we can also miss the purpose that we might find in that challenge, which we can get to in just a bit. But I just want to add that because it changes seeing challenges to me as just oppositional to what we want for ourselves, and it can turn it into assisting us in who we want for ourselves with and of ourselves,
What do you mean? Who we want
who we
for
want to
ourselves?
be. So a challenge can help
Ah,
who I want to become. I got it. It's because the way that I built up the first part of the sentence, I was trying to stay loyal to that and actually say my point. It just didn't jive, but you get what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I get it. It makes sense. So I was thinking, and you know me, I'm a little bit. I probably don't plan as much as I should. And in the future, we're going to work on that more. That's something I'm going to work on. I really enjoy just coming to this podcast and just having a talk with you. It's raw, and I like that. I
Yeah,
think
the naturalness.
I kind of like it more than when I overdo it or spend too much time thinking about it, because I feel like I get some really, really solid advice and answers from you when it just kind of unravels. But I did spend a little bit of time thinking about this, and I realized that over my life, as I kind of inventory challenge in my life, I realized that when I sulk or feel bad or negative, or I don't want to say depressed, because I don't think I've ever really been depressed.
No. Mm-hmm.
But when I feel just low, that's a good word. When I feel low or weak in something, I'm actually like authorizing challenge to both exist and have power over my day, over my moment, because I think what makes all of us very, very special is what we've overcome. And if we've never overcome something, I don't want to say that we'd be boring, but we certainly wouldn't have the character that we have, or that we acquire through triumph over challenge. And so we're going to go, a series of seasons means that that's a constant. There's always, it's just changing of landscape. When we talk about challenge, it's going to exist. It's going to exist whether we're trying to lose weight, trying to eat healthier, trying to keep age at bay. I mean, whether it's, reconciliation with family members, friends, losing loved ones, losing pets. I mean, there's always going to be a challenge. And so it's how we deal with those. So that's why I say it's a series of seasons, because they are seasonal. And that's what I want to focus on. Lori, you are wise beyond wise.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you're a wise guy. That's what I meant to say. You're a wise guy.
Yeah, but wise boy.
Yes, that in that voice. Talk to me, Lori.
About the seasons to begin with, or
yes, please.
All of it. Okay. If I actually have shifted my thinking somewhat on this, or at least the way that I might articulate it, because I don't generally think of like the temporary aspect of challenges until you had introduced this. So it's the first time I was trying to process this. But now that I think of it, it makes perfect sense on the level of what we're talking about. But I think there's going to be so many places we can take this beyond today's overview, if you want to call it that. When I frame challenges as a season in life, the ebb and flow of good times and bad, if you want to call it that, it helps me to think more naturally about problems, in that they're quite natural to humanity. You and I come from a line of farmers, and I think it's such a good like frame to use when we look at seasons. And that's just number one, to be aware what season you're in, and then to tend to that season for the upcoming season. And you can use what you've brought with you from the previous season as well. Now, when it comes to challenges, it's resourceful almost to recognize this, because then we realize that we have, I think the way that I've heard you frame it, not about this specific discussion, but one of the ways I've heard you talk about life is that in different aspects of life, we have almost like savings accounts that we can deposit things into for another time. And when I started thinking about challenges, and kind of from your perspective, since you're the one that brought it up, it gives me a little confidence now when I have a challenge. And like, I'm not inviting any, But when I do, it makes me realize, like, say something difficult I would liken to winter. To me, that's the most obvious. And then I reflect on what you've said about the bank account and the farming. You put it all together, and I kind of think, hey, this is not going to be easy. But there's also a level of preparation for each season of life. So that means there might be some resources that have been tucked away, not monetary, but just resources in gut, in grit, and that type of thing. And I am making this up as we're talking, but I just want to kind of tell you that this is where my thoughts have wandered, thinking about it this week.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I like it a lot. One of the things that I was thinking about when I did this, and I look back on kind of the years of my life, and in the beginning, we were born to a father that it was like winning, like that's what we do. We win. If we're running, we're going to run the fastest. Yes. We're going to run the furthest. We're going to, and we're not even happy with that, because we're not, and to this day, I'm competitive, not so much with society, but I'm competitive with me. So I'm constantly trying to personal best. What I have failed at is realizing that the experience is the payday.
Wow. That's a tough listen. Go on.
So if we enjoy the attempt, which I think we shared a little bit before, on a different subject, but if we enjoyed the attempt, that's a win. That's the payday. We didn't even have to, if we set out to say we're going to save money, so we want to purchase a car,
right?
And we have this idea that, my gosh, just given the situation and economic uncertainty, whatever may be your reality, I'd really like to take the next year, and I'd love it if I could save up enough money to buy a vehicle and just pay for it and own it. And I don't want to have full coverage. I just want to have liability. I mean, whatever your reasons are, and I'm sharing some of my reasons in the past, but it, and then you go for a year and you start working your plan, and you save money. And then at the end of a year, the vehicle that you were going to buy for $5,000 is $7,500. And you were already short on the $5,000. You only came up with $4,000. So now you're still nearly as far away, because you still got $3,500 to go, so that the gap changed, but yet you still succeeded.
Right.
You're still much further along than you would have been just saying like, the resignation that, well, I'm just going to go and put down my zero down and have a high interest rate. And, and this is not monetary. This just happens to be something that I was thinking about, in that just the attempt. If you enjoyed it and you made progress and you're proud of yourself and you saw the money climb and you're like, wow, I started with no money for this particular goal, and at the end of 12 months I had $1,000, I had $5,000, whatever your respective situation put on the table for you, that's a win. So the challenge is there, and we think, well, I didn't really nail it, but you still won. We talk a lot about things that are challenging. I feel like, Tug of Heart is a lot about challenge and things that tug at our heart, things that are bigger than us. And so, since these seasons are always going to come, and the seasons of challenge, you know, all we can do is hope that we are best prepared to go through them, to solve them, and to just constantly make progress. It's not a win-lose scenario like we were taught. It's a win. It's a win merely because we tried, we learned in our effort, there's a win there. So I think it's really important to recognize that challenge is not forever, and that when we attempt to solve them, that's a win. We're already winning.
That's right. I absolutely love this, because we are shaping ourselves. So if I've saved all year for a vehicle, or if I've exercised all year, but I don't qualify for a marathon, whatever the situation may be, right?
Exactly.
And I think of the way that you frame like higher education. Something changed circumstantially about what it requires to get a car, but it can never take away the fact that this year I became a saver. I have changed. Something has personally changed about me, has been shaped better. And I think it's important what you're saying, to be able to acknowledge that, because when the goal blinds us to any other personal goal we may have about the more important challenges of life, travel with us through external challenges, we also take our very personal inner challenges. And that's what we want to overcome, who we want to become about ourselves. And if we get very goal oriented or focused on only the things outside of us and lose sight of what's inside, it can make us forget the most important challenges in life. And that's the challenges of our purpose, our intentions, and our life plan, if you will, for who we want to be in character and in heart. That's the real challenge to me that travels with these. And you don't want to be so goal focused that, say I've worked at just, I'll take your word, being a little bit more decent. But when I see the bar change for savings, it increases my aggression for saving, and my character takes a ding, because I also become a little more selfish, a little bit more this or that, negative things, only in the sense that they're contrary to who I want to be, to what my values are. And that's a different kind of damage than to just not reach the car. And that could be a bigger challenge to undo. Does that make sense, Leroy?
Yeah. I want to go back for 2 seconds, because when you said something about, you said, I can train for a year, doesn't mean I qualify for a marathon.
Right.
Okay. So everybody has been completely isolated and sequestered for a couple of years.
Right.
And I'm just going to go out and say it. I mean, I guarantee you, some of the people listening to this, it's been tough, to stay focused and stay as healthy as we would like to be.
Right.
And since this is talking about a series of seasons, and, the season of challenge, that season ends the minute you put your shoes on. Doesn't matter if you walk to the mailbox or if you walk around the block. And so we can end a season simply by making the decision to work on it.
Right. It's like,
and from that day forward, the challenge will diminish day by day by day.
Oh, I love that. Can you say it one more time? When from the first step,
correct,
in facing a challenge,
every single day that we work on it, the challenge diminishes every single day.
I like that.
And there's something that will try us, because when we're many times in my life, you go to the gym and it's painful and this, and it's so much easier just not to go, so much easier not to walk. It's so much easier not to run. It's so much easier not to do push-ups. And then 3 weeks go by. Usually it's at like the 30-day mark. And then after 30 days, you're like, wow, I just did X. I just did 2 push-ups. I just did 4 push-ups. And then the challenge, I don't want to say that it's gone, because the tenacity is something that we have to have. We have to have the staying power. But as long as we're working on it, that challenge that's all it is. It's not all consuming. It's not in control. The minute we try, it's like we take control back.
I absolutely love this. I'm picturing you throwing the brick through the window, because I'm a crafter, somewhat of an artist, and so are you. We love to make things. But one of the things that I find when I make things, and I think, I don't know if this is the same for you in building, but a lot of times if I just dive into something, I have an idea and I just go for it, right? No setting up the ideal situation to go for it, but just kind of dive in. A lot of my work in doing it will be, the first getting it out there. And then after that, a lot of work that I add to it is fixing little boo-boos or little uglies along the way. But that's how control is regained, because I'm not in control when I first go out. It's a little wild when you first do something, or if it's something new, which a lot of things that are challenging, the fact is it's a challenge because there's some new aspect to it. If it was mundane, it would not be a challenge. The repetitiveness, we know how to do it. It's something that we're not sure how to do. It's just has a new element to it that we're unfamiliar with. That's what makes a challenge. So we go about it and we end up a lot of correction along the way. So, and that also teaches us a little bit more confidence when things are out of control. Oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So next time I know, use a little tape where I'm painting. I didn't know that the first time, right? What do you think about that in terms of what you do? And then also with just like in terms of like physical health, whichever you choose to speak on.
I think that's why they say adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it,
Yeah.
So when you're trying to do something, it's an educational process. We can't just do, complicated math. You just, maybe there's a couple of people it just works, calculus. Some people just get it.
Right.
Not everybody.
Do you know I don't even know what calculus is?
Me either, but I read about it once.
Okay, go on.
I saw it in a movie. So I think that you're right. I mean, it's just the minute you say tape for painting, I'm like, oh yeah, tape for painting. But there's a lot of different tape.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that.
There's masking tape, there's painter's tape, there's blue tape, and then there's frog tape.
Oh, geez.
And frog tape being the winner, also the most expensive, but it is definitely advantageous in terms of labor. But the point is how many times do you paint before you discover frog tape? A lot. You just have to stay after it. So tenacity has a role in, putting the kibosh on a season, a season of challenge. I mean, how many times are you going to let the paint bleed through the tape before you try a different tape? So it's effort. This is kind of like figuring itself out as we go through this. It's, effort is the antidote for challenge.
I want to add one other thing because I'm envisioning this as you working as you're talking about tape. One of your signatures, and I'll mention just when you made a table for me here. I wanted a particular table, but not, I guess, trending tables or whatever. So you made my dining table for me. And when you finish, you always put an imperfection, right? So everything is measured exact and just the symmetry is ideal. Then you put a screw just out of alignment with everything else and also visible. The reason that I'm mentioning this when it comes to challenges is it's so important because I mean, we're here talking about the heart, and this to me says something about your heart. And I think it's a good example for all hearts. It is so important for us to mark upon our hearts when we do learn so that we always remember we have a mark there that where I came from. So you also have that note that so much more is possible. So my interpretation of that, of course, is that it's just a reminder of imperfection because you didn't always know how to make a table. And it's what a signature. What do you think about that? Is that in terms of challenges and stuff? Because I bet you put plenty of nails or screws in the wrong place before you reached the season, you know, where
Okay,
you can
confession time. If I had $1 for every table I ever made, I'd have $2. So that screw that
no,
I
you
laughed off as an imperfection on purpose. Yeah, maybe that was just imperfection.
you got to be kidding because I changed the whole finish on that table to keep it revealed. You gotta turn it into something special right now for us, please. I'm just kidding, but
absolutely intentional if you're good with it.
No, but there is the sweetness to even if not, that would be just to accept it. Like there's a sweetness about even getting there, like you said, not with what you originally thought a winner might look like, but that we became even closer through that, me on the receiving end, of course, but it's still, there's a sweetness about it, right?
I remember doing that table. I remember that was a lot of fun. It was you're very easy to please because you are so handy and crafty. But thank you for allowing me to do some things and participate. Man, that's just a really, I feel better talking to you about it because it's a really good place to be in just recognizing, which is what I said, recognizing that solving it and amputating the power that challenge has is just start making effort. And when you say it that way, it sounds so simple, like really, really like, yeah, we just make effort. And all of a sudden it starts to make sense and we start to move forward. But maybe that really is how simple it is.
Right. And it needs to be said because a lot of times we're looking for, look at the self-help aisle. They don't even call it that anymore. People are looking for very complex ways to do things, but they don't always just approach the doing itself.
What do you mean?
I mean, like if I would want to write, I may go through all kinds of notebooks. I may go through self-help books. I may go to a therapist. Why can't I get past this writer's block or whatever? Or sit down and write. You could go check out every ache and pain before you get physically fit. And you're in this season of perpetual season preparation versus shifting into the next season. It's like a season denial where we can stay kind of in a fixed state, sometimes confusing it for a better, we want so badly to go about things and sometimes I think we fool ourselves in complicating things because we're just kind of avoiding them. At least this is true for me.
It's funny because I'm sure I've shared with you and probably here as well that I've been really taking a very aggressive, I've been making a very aggressive push in reclaiming health.
Right.
And I've been trying to exercise 5 days a week and doing things. It's made me become a better motorcycle rider. It's made me sleep a little bit better. I'm being serious. You wouldn't realize how much overlap there is if you start to get healthier. Getting up and getting down from the floor, is, it's certainly easier. But it's as soon as at first I was in just a tremendous amount of discomfort, didn't want to do it, really didn't want it, but I kept doing it. And after I'm going to guess about 3 months, at the 3-month point, I started to be, okay, I look a little bit better. Clothes fit a little bit different. It's still so hard. It's so hard. It's painful. This is not fun. And I think I said it on a podcast previously. As soon as I decided that it's just going to hurt, I just accepted the fact that it's going to hurt. I'm at an age now where, unlike falling off your bike at 9 years old, you fall off a bike now, you're looking for a soft place to land because things take longer to heal. And as soon as I recognize the fact that it's just going to hurt, it became much more bearable.
Yeah, that's actually, if we can kind of mark that's actually an interesting place to take this moving forward. Let's talk about the painfulness and truth next, actually, because that's profound what you're saying. What an edge it takes off by proper assessment and just acknowledgement of this is how it is. That, like, pushing yourself into just experiential, the parts that you can't control of improvement, right?
I think, and without getting, I don't want to be anybody's evangelist, but there is a serenity poem. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the perseverance. And it's funny because however that may be applicable to your life, they're very closely related. Because when you accept, I can't change that, but yet the very next part is, it's change the things I can, accept the things I cannot, and possess the wisdom to know the difference. Yet those two are actually side by side, because as soon as I recognize it's just going to hurt and I kind of accepted it, all of a sudden I started showing up with a different enthusiasm, which actually led me to the following part, which is change the things I can. The change the things I can wasn't about change the way it was painful. It was change the way I viewed it, change the way I accepted it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like, it's a little balancing act, but sensible if you can do that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. It's like, change the things I can, accept the things I can't. Well, as soon as I accepted the things I can't, then I can start to change the things I can.
Yes.
That's a real weird little...
That's because what you're saying, what I'm hearing is you're saying that in acceptance is a massive stumbling block.
Yes.
To changing the other stuff, right?
That's how we draw a sunset on this season of challenge.
Ooh, look what you did.
I think look what you did.
Sunset on the season of challenge.
Right, through our, again, full circle, based on our perception.
Yeah.
Of the challenge. Mm-hmm. And now we're just becoming redundant and talking in circles.
Now we're just having a word competition.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
That's all.
we're like taking turns stacking block to see who knocks the tower at this point, which is
As long as we're moving forward, that's all I care about.
up, yeah. So I actually really like this a lot. This is a good talk. Again, I still see this as kind of an overview. A lot of stuff here to dig into. When I rehear this, I'm going to try to note some of them because you said a lot of things today we're examining a little bit more closely, I think, Leroy.
Okay.
Well done.
Well, thank you. I can't wait. So we should probably talk about this a little bit more, which we don't always do, but we probably should give it a little bit more thought because we're coming up on, the sunset of this podcast. So we should probably give this topic a little bit more attention on the next podcast because I think we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, it's that overcoming writer's block. You just sit there and just like spill it all out until you reach the place where you have something to work with. We may have just reached that here, and the rest was just expressing it all, and we're like, now we have something to work with out of what's the conversation.
Let me apologize in advance if all we do is pat ourselves on the back on the next podcast, because maybe we're just proud of ourselves for finally finding some clarity.
And that's the other thing. There's no shame in liking ourselves, right? And liking ourselves when we get something. And I don't even mind if the whole world has been getting it and today was my day. Ding, ding, ding. I've arrived. I'm still so proud I'm with you guys. If you all knew this.
Okay, so Lori, thank you. Can't wait to chat with you for the next podcast. Share, take us out of here, Lori.
All right. Until next time, just like Leroy said, you can like and share the podcast. Think about anything also, guys, that challenges you. If there's anything specific and you have found a way to approach it or resolve it, or you just don't know, shoot a message to us and we'll share it. Maybe we can get some feedback and talk about it a little bit more, because I'm actually pretty interested in this. It's like making the heart applicable to life, which is nice place to reach, right? So until next time.
Adios.